Well, all right, welcome back to As It Should Be. Paul Berlino here, and well, it is time for an album review. I want to periodically do album reviews as new albums come out that I want to discuss. And I'm an old music kind of a guy. I'm all about the classics, man. And I'm a 60s and 70s guy, so it isn't really that often that stuff that I'm really that interested in comes out. But things do come out that I really love, and there are certain artists who are current that I'm a big fan of. And one of those artists, in fact, easily one of my favorite current artists today, is this band, Young Gun Silver Fox. Yes. And I'm going to do a review of their latest album, their fourth album, their brand new album, Ticket to Shangri-La. Okay? Ticket to Shangri-La. I just got this. The record came out maybe about a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to wait. I ordered the record. I wanted to wait till I had the physical copy in hand before I did the review. I don't like to wait too long after a release. I feel like YouTube reviews for a new album are kind of a time-sensitive thing. If you wait too long, it's just kind of like, the ship kind of sails, as it were. These guys are a yacht rock duo, Young Gun Silver Fox. We have Sean Lee, an American from Wichita, Kansas, and we have Andy Platts, a British bloke, and a U.S. dude. All right, okay, and I don't mean like yacht rock, but with a modern sensibility or that kind of stuff. And it's pure, unadulterated, late '70s, early '80s AOR, free of irony, and yacht rock in earnest, if you will. And but it's. Even though it's basically a time capsule, this stuff, it works. It doesn't seem dated. It works kind of in the same way that Get Lucky by Daft Punk worked a few years ago. I mean, that was very much definitely in the style of some late 70s, early 80s kind of soul, R&B, dancey kind of stuff. But it didn't sound dated. Like it worked as a modern record. And that's how this stuff is, in particular the new album. And I think I'm going to say right now that out of the four albums, this new album is my favorite one. And I go back with them since before even the first album came out. And how I got into these guys, it was maybe late 2015, I want to say. My friend Mary Edwards, shout out to Mary Edwards, she was following Sean Lee, one half of the duo. She was following Sean Lee on social media and saw that he had this new project, right? And they had one single out, the super classic opening track, lead-off single for the first album, You Can Feel It. West End Coast is their first album. You Can Feel It is the opening track, but that track came out as a single before this record came out. And so she pointed me in the direction of this track, and I was suitably blown away, and then of course very quickly began waiting impatiently for the album. And the album came out, loved it. It was a little derivative in a sense that, I mean, obviously they're doing an old style, but on the first album I felt like you were able to go to it and go, okay, yeah, that's Baby Come Back by Player, that's What a Fool Believes, that's, you could actually draw a direct line from the Young Gun Silver Fox song to the one that they're basically, to a particular old song that they were kind of basically redoing. But then their second album came out, AM Waves. Great album. Now, they really hit their stride right away with the second album. They got so much better at sort of channeling that late 70s, early 80s vibe, but they finally hit their point where they were able to write in the style without taking directly from existing songs. Now they're really, truly doing their own songs, and I definitely prefer that second album over the first one, even though I love the first one. And then, of course, they have the third album, Canyons. Now this is their difficult third album, and it's difficult, well, because it came out in 2020. Difficult is not the music's not difficult. The record itself just sort of had a difficult time and came out at the worst possible time it could have, and I think it kind of suffered a little bit because of it. But now, fast forward to now, and we have the new album, Shangri-La. Ticket to Shangri-La is the name of the album, and man, it's my favorite one so far. I mean, easily. I absolutely love it. Now, each of the first three records has a really just absolute banger of an opening track. I mean, I think basically the opening track on each of the first three albums is by far the best track. Classics. First album has You Can Feel It. Second album has Midnight in Richmond. The third album, Canyons, has Kids. Boom. Best foot forward. And, well, this new album is a little bit of a slow burn. This album, my least favorite tracks are the first two tracks on the album, but the thing is, they're still great tracks, and the album just goes like this. And just keeps on going up. And now, for any people who don't know this stuff, who don't know this band, if you're like, okay, I'm 52, okay? If any of you music people out there who are around my age, who grew up when I grew up, you're bound to get the warm and fuzzies listening to this music, because it's kind of nostalgic, because it's a sound that you remember as a kid, but it's actual new music, new songs, and just sort of living on in the now. So ahead of this record, they put out three tracks. Initially it was West Side Jet, which is the second track on the album, and I didn't really like the song that much. I didn't like it that much. I thought, man, this could be where Young Gun Silver Fox jumps the shark. I was a little unsure. And then they came out with the second single, Winners, and I went, oh, okay. This one's much, much better. And then the third one, Rolling Back, dropped, and I knew we were in for some good stuff. So, and now the album seems to be divided into two sections. There's side one is all kind of the upbeat, dancey kind of stuff, and side two is mellower and more reflective. And I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but either way, that's definitely the way it kind of flows. I'm a side two man myself, because I like the dreamy and reflective kind of stuff, and ooh, man, there's some good stuff. So I'm going to go through this album track by track at a time, starting with track one. Okay, so track one on Ticket to Shangri-La is Still Got It Going On. Yeah, Still Got It Going On. Now, this kind of has a little bit of a Hold the Line by Toto feel. Now, I know I said earlier that after the first album, they're not just ripping off existing songs and you can't draw a direct line to existing songs. Well, that's still the case. This song does not sound like Hold the Line in any way. It just has that kind of feel, that kind of thing to it, but it's its own song. It does not sound in any way like the Toto track. It has a driving percussive piano, and it's it has a great arrangement. I could imagine this being maybe on the Chicago 11 album. For you Chicago fans, the final Chicago album with Terry Kath, I could easily imagine this song maybe being on that album. And I love how it kind of has a really long intro before you finally have Andy coming in on the vocal, and it's a really great opener. Again, I don't feel that it's as strong of an opener as just like of an opener as the first three albums, but this is still the best album in my opinion, because it just, as good as that first track is, it just goes like this, and like this, and like this. Now the second track is a song called West Side Jet. Now West Side Jet is the first single that came out that I already mentioned that I didn't like. I like it a lot more now. It's still one of my least favorite songs on the record, but I like it. There isn't a bad track on this album. In fact, frankly, Young Gun Silver Fox has zero bad tracks. They have tracks I don't like as much as others, but they have no bad tracks. Now, West Side Jet is a very peppy acoustic number. Guitar. It's acoustic guitar driven kind of a track, and now in the intro there's a little bit of a whistle kind of a thing, and it's only lasts a second, but that's one of the things that kind of annoys me about the track, because it kind of reminds me of, remember how it seemed like every song about 5 to 10 years ago had to have like a whistle in it? It was like the thing that everybody had to do, and it's kind of like, and now it's kind of like, and they're doing this now, and it's kind of like, that's kind of why I was worried, like, oh, are they trying to chase a modern hit? But no, I don't really think so. I think they probably didn't really intend the way I took it. So I'm wrong. But it's also a really, really brief moment at the beginning of the song, and it may not bother you at all. And, once you get past that moment, the song's really great. West Side Jet. And that's the thing. Every single song is catchy. Even the songs I like the least get stuck in my head. So, there you go. Now, the third track. Move my notes up here. Tip of the Flame. Tip of the Flame. Now, here's where it starts to get good. All right? Now, there's some definite 80s DNA, in this, minus any sort of synthetic elements. I mean, it's all really just nice, warm. The sounds and the production is still really 70s, because it really has that punch, that warm punch of a good late 70s track. But there's some 80s DNA, as I said. And, it has a similar rhythm and feel to More by Andre True Connection. Again, it's in no way a rip-off of that song. The composition is not in any way like More from Andre True. It just kind of has that. It has that kind of beat, and has the kind of punch that the rhythm and the beat of that track has. It sounds really great. And there's in the chorus, it's turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. Now that part reminds me big time of Get It Up for Love by Ned Doheny. It's a Ned Doheny track that I'm only familiar with because David Cassidy did it. Yeah, so there are a lot of people out there. There's a lot of Ned Doheny is kind of like one of those old sort of underground B-level sort of songwriter and artist that didn't really have any success in his day, but he's kind of getting to be in with the hipsters in a way, and he's big in Japan. They love him in Japan. But David Cassidy did a cover of the song Get It Up for Love on one of his mid-70s post-Partridge Family albums, and it's a great, great song. And this chorus kind of reminds me of that. But this is just like a really great, just upbeat, dancey track that just oozes late 70s, early 80s, and I'm here for it. Okay, so now, track number 4. Track number 4 is a song called Rolling Back. Rolling Back, man, the chorus alone on Rolling Back gets 2 snaps up, okay? Now, it gets stuck in my head every time. In fact, at the moment, I think there's probably like at least 5 songs from this album running in my head simultaneously. But anyway, so now this track kind of returns us to the beauty, the absolute gorgeous beauty of Midnight in Richmond, which is the opening track on AM Waves, the second album there. And also Mojo Rising, which is another absolutely standout track from the second album. It has like the beauty of those tracks without being a retread. I mean, it's its own song, and it's another peppy, dancey track with an almost disco-y kind of feel. But the thing is that when you get into the pre-chorus and the chorus, it kind of ends up going to this more moody and dreamy kind of vibe, and it's just such a, oh my god, just the chorus of this. I feel like I've known this song all my life. I feel like when I was 8 in 1978, that this had to have been on the radio at the time. It had to have been. I can't possibly just now be hearing it for the first time. It can't possibly have just been written and recorded like in the last year. Well, it was, and it's absolutely phenomenal. In my book, if you like this kind of music, I think you're going to be very, very happy with it. But now, the 5th track, which is the last song on side 1, is a song called Simple Imagination. Now, Simple Imagination, it's another very early 80s vibe kind of track, but it has like a hint of just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us. That's a little bit of a hint of that kind of a thing about it. And it has a sax solo. Essential. Now, see, the thing is when I go through these albums, especially I was going through this record going, man, this song needs a sax solo. When I listened to the whole damn thing, I got to the end of it, and I guess I missed the fact that this song has a sax solo in it, and I just thought, there needs to be at least 1, if not 2 or 5 sax solos on this album. And then when I went back and listened to it again, the sax solo hits from this, and it's just like, oh, I didn't even realize it was there on the first listen, and it's so good. It's exactly what the doctor ordered. It's exactly that moment that really just takes this song and makes it just, it hits home at that moment. Okay, so now we're going to turn the record over, and we're going to go to side 2. All right, now side 2, the opening track on side 2. This is a Glasses Off. This is a Glasses Off song right here. Okay. The opening track on side 2 is a song called Sierra Nights. Woo! Woo! Sierra Nights. Oh my god. Okay. Now, Sierra Nights is by far my favorite song on this record. That's not even a question. I mean, runs away with the title. But you know what? It isn't just my favorite song on this album. It is my favorite Young Gun Silver Fox song, period. And I'm going to tell you right now, spoiler alert, when we get to the end of the year, at the end of the year I'll probably do some sort of a year roundup where I do my favorite songs of the year or albums or whatever. Chances are very good, excellent, better than excellent, that this is going to be my song of the year by anybody. I mean, this is basically my favorite song, period, right now. Sierra Nights. Oh, shit. Glasses back on so I can read my notes. I mean, this song is it's just amazing. It's gorgeous, it's dreamy, it's floaty, and I'm an absolute sitting duck for this type of track. As anybody who regularly watches this channel knows, this is my steez, man. And if you are in to the dreamy, floaty, atmospheric kind of tracks with that late 70s kind of vibe, and run, don't walk to this track. I'm telling you. I mean, my God. Now, this track is a favorite of Young Gun Silver Fox themselves. In fact, Andy and Sean did Instagram videos where they each talked about their top 3 tracks, and both of them name-checked this song. But Andy put this as his number 1 on the album, and as it should be. But now, I guess, and as he says, and Andy kind of gave a little backstory. He said he had read during lockdown in 2020, he read Don Quixote and fell in love with the book, and that inspired this track. Now, I have to tell you, Andy and Sean, don't think I don't hear that Ricky Don't Lose That Number bass line you have going on in there. It's kind of Ricky Don't Lose That Number, or really, Song from My Father by Horace Silver, but Ricky Don't Lose That Number bass line. I mean, it's just doom doo 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 doo. Now, the track does not in any way sound like Ricky Don't Lose That Number, not in the slightest. But running underneath all this absolute warm bath beauty that is surrounding you, running throughout, it's just doom boom 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 boom, and it's there you go. So there's a little bit of they snuck some Steely Dan in there without it being in any way a ripoff. I'm telling you, when you listen to the song, you're in no way you're going to go, this sounds like Steely Dan. It does not. Yeah. But okay, so this is the kind of track where I'd be thinking, wishing there was a sax solo, but you know what? I'm not, because there's a guitar solo in this that is so absolutely perfect. The tone, the note choices, everything. It's just absolute perfection. I love this song with all my heart. Okay. Track 7, or track number 2 on side 2, I guess we could say, is a song called Lodestar. Lodestar, Lodestar. Now, this is another slow, as I mentioned at the top of this video, the album's kind of in 2 separate sides. You have the kind of upbeat, dancey kind of side, and then you have the slower, reflective side. Well, we're on the slower side here. Lodestar is another slow and smooth track, and it has a little bit of rumors, a little bit of Fleetwood Mac rumors slipped into the usual Doobie Brothers, the Doobie Dan elixir. Yeah, because that's the thing. In a very general, broad sort of way, Young Gun Silver Fox has kind of like a Doobie Brothers meets Steely Dan kind of thing going on, without getting too close for comfort. But this song has a little of that, but there's definitely a little bit of rumors in there. I think like in the rhythm section, the drums and bass, there's definitely like a Mick Fleetwood and John McVie kind of vibe happening in there. Great track. Absolutely one of my favorites on the album. Not as good as Sierra Nights, but then nothing is. But man, I love this song. Okay, so then next, see, we are in the thick of this album. I mean, we are in a stretch of this album where it's just bam, bam, bam. I'm just where like every single song is like during this part of the album. And the next song is Winners. which was the second single to come out ahead of the album. Now, it's a great mid-tempo kind of track with almost like a Bacharach Goes Soul kind of horn bit, and an excellent Michael McDonald-esque backing vocals, kind of harmonies that are, I don't know if it's both. I don't know if it's all Andy kind of layering himself or Sean's in there, but it's a great vocal blend that definitely harkens back to the old Michael McDonald kind of vibe. And now a track like this seems like it must have been a radio staple in an alternate 1979. You know what I mean? When you hear this, you're like, wait, I didn't hear this on the radio in 1979 all the time? No, you didn't. Well, now, I mean, had Player had a hit in 1979 or 1980, this might have been it. But again, I want to say that this doesn't sound like a particular song. Like it's not ripping off a particular song at all. It just has that thing, that sound, that vibe. It just takes you to that place. Okay, so next up is the penultimate track on the album. The fourth track, right? The fourth track on side 2. Okay, this is a song called Starting Wars. Okay, Starting Wars. Now this is another smooth, mellow track, and this one was definitely a radio staple in an alternate 1980, right? And I don't mean the 80s, I mean 1980 specifically. You know, that sound that 1980 and 81 had, where it was still a little 1979, the actual real 80s hadn't really hit yet. It sounds like it was, a staple of the radio at that moment in time. Now, on my first listen to this album, this one really wasn't that much of a favorite. After I went through that whole list of bangers that I just talked about, I felt like the album kind of went from there, and like this one was just like, it was good, but it was just okay. It wasn't just like, ugh. But nothing about it really grabbed me. But the more I listen, the more I love this one, and it has swiftly risen to the top 5 of this album for me. And it's one of my very favorites. Now, this brings us to the final track. The final track is a song called Freak Flag. Now, the intro section has a very whimsical 60s harpsichord-y kind of thing, meets Partridge Family kind of vibe. You know how Partridge Family kind of have a harpsichord kind of thing going on some of the songs. Now, I don't know if there's actually a harpsichord in the track. It just sounds harpsichord-y, you know what I mean? And it's one of Andy's favorites on the album, one of Andy Platz's favorite tracks on the record. I would say it's my least favorite on side 2, but that doesn't mean it isn't a great track. I mean, side 2 is just like bam, 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 bam. So my least favorite on a side like this is still pretty damn good. Now, let's see. What I'm gonna do now. So that's me. That's all the songs in the album. Now, what I've done here is I've ranked the tracks. I'm gonna add a little extra something to the video. I've actually ranked the tracks of the album in the order that I like them. I'm gonna go from 10 to 1 here. Number 10, West Side Jet. Still like the song. Didn't like it at first. It's growing on me. I probably still don't like it as much as I'm going to like it. Like, you know what I mean? I think it's still rising. I think its mojo is still rising. Okay, coming at number 9, Still Got It Going On, the opening track. Great track, but like I said at the top of the video, the album starts here and kind of just goes like this. Right? Okay, number 8, Freak Flag, the song I just talked about, the final track on the album. Number 7, Tip of the Flame. Man. But see, now we're getting into like all the songs that I love. So like Tip of the Flame at merely number 7, that's how good of an album this is, because Tip of the Flame kicks ass, okay? Number 6, Simple Imagination, the closing track of side 1, the one with the sax solo. Number 5, Starting Wars. And number 4, Winners. Number 2, Rolling Back. And of course, as you already knew, because I spent like 10 minutes talking about it, my number 1 is Sierra Nights. Yeah, whew, man. I absolutely love this album. Now all I need is for those guys, Andy, Sean, Young Gun Silver Fox, come to the U.S. and tour. I'm in New York. It isn't that far. It isn't that difficult for you guys to get here from London. It's, how long, what's that, a 6-hour flight, something like that? It's not that big of a deal. Just Just throw a guitar and a keyboard on your shoulder and just hop a plane and come over here, all right? That's how it works, right? No, I know. But the thing is, they're constantly going to the Netherlands. I swear they've toured the Netherlands like 10 times now. And I'm sitting over in New York going, because I can't believe that they're on their 4th album and I haven't gotten a chance to see them yet. They haven't been here. And I know it's not their fault. They're not ignoring us. They would love to come here. They would love to go everywhere, I'm sure. They would love to go to Japan, I'm sure. They would love to go to, everywhere. I'm sure there's not a place that they wouldn't love to go to tour. They want to come here. I don't know why they're not, though. It's maybe they're out. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully they'll come soon. Please, guys, come to New York. Play New York. Okay? All right. Anyway, so that's the end of my review of the great Young Guns Silver Fox with their great new album, Ticket to Shangri-La. Again, if you're a 70s person, if you love yacht rock, if you love that late 70s, early 80s AOR stuff, you are going to like this. I'm telling you, this is masterfully done. Their songwriting is great. Their musicianship is great. Sean Lee is the producer. He is sonically, this record is absolutely spot on, perfect. It can't possibly be improved upon. The drum sounds, everything. It has that warm kind of sound of the 70s. It's amazing. I love this record. Do check it out. All right, so everybody, thank you for watching, especially anybody who's gotten this far who doesn't know who Young Guns Silver Fox is or doesn't care, or, if you're just watching this just to watch it, I definitely salute you there. And if you're Andy or Sean and you're watching, boy, do I salute you. Come to New York. Anyway, all right, so everybody who has subscribed, I thank you very much. And anybody who hasn't subscribed, who likes these videos and wants to be informed when a new video comes out, subscribe. And click the little bell, because you're going to want that in order to get your notifications. And, comment and like and all that kind of stuff. And come back on Thursday, because on Thursday, Crystal Durant and Tommy Von Voigt are going to be back, and we are going to be discussing our favorite singles of 1983. Yeah, boy, we're really starting to get into the 80s now, and Tommy is coming out of his skin. Yeah, all right, so you don't want to miss that. All right, I will see you guys next time.